What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and it's Manchester United against Aston Villa at Villa Park. Manager Unai Emery replaced Steven Gerrard in November 2021, and in his first game for Aston Villa, Unai Emery went on to beat Manchester United 3-1 at Villa Park, and in that season he did really well. He took Aston Villa from 16th position when he took over after Steven Gerrard was sacked, and they finished 7th. So that was a very good season for Unai Emery, and that was 2 years ago. So last season under Emery, they finished 4th with 68 points, qualifying for the Champions League. And in the league last season they finished with 20 wins, 8 draws and 10 losses, scoring 76 goals, conceding 51 and having a goal difference of plus 16. They finished 2 points ahead of Tottenham, who were in 5th, and 14 points behind Liverpool in 3rd. Last season, however, against Manchester United, they did lose both of their games. Manchester United picked up maximum points against Aston Villa with a home win. Manchester United won at Old Trafford 3-2, and then away from home at Villa Park, Manchester United won 2-1. And Manchester United have won their last 4 games against Villa, but the one before that they lost, and that was the last game that Manchester United lost against Aston Villa, which was Unai Emery's first game in charge. Last week, Aston Villa drew to Ipswich 2-2, but before that they had home wins against Wolves and Everton. So in the league, they have picked up 7 points out of 9 in their past 3 games. Midweek, though, recently they are coming away by beating the mighty Bayern Munich 1-0 at home in the Champions League, and also in the Champions League phase they sit on 6 points out of 6, picking up maximum points from their first 2 games. In the league, however, currently they sit 5th in the league with 13 points from 6 games. They have won 4, drawn 1 and lost 1. They have scored a total of 12 goals and conceded 9 and have a goal difference of plus 3. So their only loss has come from Arsenal on match day 2 of the Premier League season, when they were beaten 2-0 at home. So that's Aston Villa kind of summarized. In terms of some insights for this match, if we have a look, let's have a look at some insights for this match. Aston Villa have won just one of their last 25 Premier League games against Manchester United, drawing 8 and losing 16, with that victory coming in Unai Emery's, like I mentioned, first game in charge of the club in November 2022, where they won 3-1. So yeah, they won one of their last 25 Premier League home games against Manchester United. That is a mad start. Man United have won 40 Premier League games against Aston Villa, with only the Red Devils themselves beating an opponent more times more often in the competition's history, with 41 against Everton. Aston Villa have picked up 13 points in their opening 6 Premier League matches. Like I mentioned before, their best start to a season since the 2008-09 season under Martin O'Neill, where they also picked up 13 points. Manchester United, unfortunately, have lost 8 Premier League matches by a margin of 3 or more goals under Erik ten Hag since the start of the 2022-23 season, and the only current Premier League managers to suffer more 3-goal plus defeats are Gary O'Neill and Sean Dyche with 9, and that is a mad start in terms of conceding goals. Since Unai Emery's first Premier League match in charge of Aston Villa, only Manchester City, Liverpool and Arsenal have picked up more points than Villa. Manchester City have 85, Liverpool have 84, Arsenal have 81 and Villa have 74 since Unai Emery has taken charge of Aston Villa. Aston Villa manages to take charge of 5 or more home flight matches. Only European Cup winning manager Tony Barton with 70% won 37 out of 53 has a better home win percentage than Unai Emery, who has a 66% 66% win percentage 23 1 out of 35. So that is a very good start for Unai Emery, and Aston Villa at home are going to be a very tough opposition for Manchester United to be dealing with. So in terms of injuries for Aston Villa, Kamara and Mings are out with knee injuries, and McGinn is recovering from a hamstring. Onana and Barkley are facing late fitness tests, and they are doubts to face Manchester United tomorrow. In terms of the 11 that Aston Villa field, they have Martinez in goal, Konsa at right back, Carlos and Torres centre back, Digne at left back, Onana and Tielemans in the central midfield positions, with Bailey, Rodgers and Ramsey forming a front three, and Watkins as playing the striker up front. So under Unai Emery, usually they like to set up in a 4-2-3-1, can switch to a 4-4-2 as well sometimes as well. In terms of with possession, they like to build up in the first phase of their build-up play. They like to build up in a asymmetrical 1-4-2-2 formation, whereby they get the keeper involved as well, and with one central striker and one forward drifting to the right, two number 10s and no player on the left wing. Aston Villa like using the goalkeeper during the low build-up phase, giving them an extra player and a numerical advantage, often allowing them to easily beat the press and progress the ball up the pitch. So they also, in their high build-up position, they like to build up in a 3-2-5, which is very popular as well. Manchester United also, we have seen them deploy this 3-2-5 formation in the high build-up phase. And Unai Emery likes having only one wide player in the high build-up. This is because he prioritizes playing through the middle. He needs one player high and one wide to pull apart the back line. The rest of the players create numerical advantages in the midfield areas, making it easier to find passing combinations. Keeping most players centrally helps Villa in the counter press as well, enabling them to keep possession more than the opponents in most games. So Aston Villa also score many goals, and one part of that is having many players in the box. This creates numerical advantages in the box, forcing the defending team to make decisions and leave some players open. The open player can receive a cross or a pass and get a great goal scoring opportunity. So in terms of defending without possession, they do in the low press, they use a 1-4-2-2 formation as well when defending. They like to set up in a mid block, always trying to close the centre of the pitch, forcing the opposition out wide, and that's where I saw some spaces out wide in the Bayern Munich game. Joshua Kimmich was picking up some brilliant positions out wide, and he did kind of provide a couple of balls into the box for Kane. And so to do this, Aston Villa are extremely compact in their defensive shape. The compact shape makes it almost impossible for teams to find spaces between the Aston Villa lines, making them very difficult to break down. And Aston Villa are a very compact defensive shaped team. They do defend with numbers, with everyone behind the ball, and it usually is a 4-4-2 kind of mid block to a low block structure which they deploy. They also have a high back line as well, and this helps to be compact. Helps to be compact is to play with a high back line, making the space to the midfield line as small as possible. And something that which Manchester United have struggled with, if they want to be playing this 4-4-2-4 high press, there needs to be very little space between the midfield line and the defensive line. But with Manchester United, I'm constantly seeing that the defensive line is very far behind the midfield line, and this makes it very easy for opposition players to kind of navigate the space, and there's just too much space in the centre of the pitch against United. And to do this, they often keep a high line without leaving the space behind to kind of open up. They also have a sweeper keeper as well in Martinez. So an important aspect of keeping a high line is to have a goalkeeper who can deal with the through balls behind the back line. Obviously, if you want to bypass the press and you want to get past the high line, you just play a ball over the top, and you have runners, fast wingers, fast strikers to kind of run onto the ball. And but Emiliano Martinez is great at this and always comes out and gets rid of the dangerous through balls as well. Another crucial detail in Emery's Aston Villa is that he focuses on the defender's body position. He wants them to play side on, being ready to both run forward and backward. Tracking a run in behind is more difficult when facing forward than if you are playing side on. If you are facing forward, you have your entire body before you have to turn your entire body before starting to run, and playing side on gives a quicker reaction time, enabling faster movements in both directions. They also like squeezing the pitch when defending as well. This means constantly pushing the team up as much as possible when defending. So every time the opponent plays a slow sideways back pass, sideways or back pass, at the Aston Villa's first line of pressure pushes up, with the rest of the team following to stay compact. When the next pass comes, they push forward even more, forcing the opponent back even more, so further and further away from their goal. They do this because it pushes the opponent further away from Villa's goal, making it harder to create chances. So they also like the high press as well. I did see a couple of times where they tried high pressing Bayern Munich midweek, but Bayern Munich were good enough to play out of it, and they had a couple of chances, Bayern Munich, to score, but unfortunately for them, they weren't able to do so. So they wait for pressing triggers as well, such as a bad touch, a long backward pass, a bad back pass. And when they press as a unit, all working together to win the ball back, unlike Manchester United, where there is a haphazard pressing shape and no defensive structure when Man United are without possession. So in terms of their star man, I am going to have to say, of course, it's going to be Ollie Watkins. Last season, he scored 19 goals and provided 18 assists in 37 starts. That is literally a goal or an assist every single game, and he's quick in the air. He's quick, good in the air, and can shoot with any foot. A very dangerous player in and around the box. And this season he has scored 4 goals and grabbed 2 assists in 6 league games. So in terms of Manchester United have now lost 2 consecutive Premier League games at Old Trafford without scoring. The last time this happened, the manager was sacked, which was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And Man United's last win in all competitions was on the 17th of September, which is about 3 weeks ago, against Barnsley. And in terms of Manchester United, I think they are winless in the last 4 games, if I'm not mistaken. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, Manchester United are winless in their last 4 games, so they are not coming into this game with good form. Their last game was against Porto in the Europa League, which they drew 3-3. In terms of the Porto game, I don't think Bruno Fernandes had a particularly good game. He was sent off, and I don't care if it was a red card or not. He wasn't great. The whole back four wasn't great either. And Porto should have been 4-2 up, and we're lucky to be coming away from Portugal with a point. Diego Costa, Porto's keeper, gave us a 2-0 head start, and we still managed to mess it up. The first goal Man United conceded, Rashford doesn't track back, and João Mario crosses it in. Omarodion bullies Marzouawi in the air, and De Ligt's positioning is wrong, and Martinez is asleep to let Pepe get the rebound. Second goal again comes from Rashford falling asleep from the cross. He allows João Mario to cross it in, and Samu Omarodion scores again. And the third goal comes from Man United trying a high press in a 4-2-4, and the defensive line is shocking. Casemiro and Eriksen fail to make a challenge on the Porto midfielder Gonzalez, who plays in Pepe. Pepe burns Martinez for pace, and De Ligt can't block Samu Omarodion's shot. And the back four, they simply weren't quick enough to be playing a high liner. They're too slow in the high press as well, in my opinion. And so Man United have scored 12 goals in the last 4 European matches, going 2-0 up in 3 of them, and have won none of them. So in terms of Manchester United's team news, Shaw, Malacia, Euro are of course all long-term absentees, and they are out. Mainu is also a doubt as well. He did travel to Portugal, but he wasn't in the squad. Mason Mount as well didn't travel to Portugal, and he is a doubt to be in the squad to face Aston Villa. Of course, Victor Lindelof was back in the squad, and Højlund is back in training, and he started against Porto. So in terms of my starting 11, this is it. this is my starting 11 for the game against Aston Villa. Of course, I'm going with the same back five: Onana, Mazraoui, De Ligt, Martinez, and Dalot as the back five. I'm going with Ugarte as the defensive midfielder, and I'm going with a 4 in midfield with Ahmad, Eriksen, Casemiro, and Rashford, and Xerxes up front. The reason I'm going with this team is that because I do believe that Bruno needs to be dropped or rested. He's not been good enough this season. He's got 1 assist in 6 Premier League games, and he's been sent off in the past 2 games. He is on a barren run of form, and I don't think he's been playing well enough. And I think the system that Erik ten Hag is trying to play, the 3-2-5, the 3-2-5 formation that he's trying to deploy, with Dalot inverting in and making a 2 in midfield with the 5 up front, I don't think it's working, and I think we need to revert back to the classic 4-2-3-1 or a 4-4-1-4-1 formation. You know, I don't think we need to be playing with a number 10, because we can't press, and Bruno isn't getting on the ball enough when we have possession. And so also I do want Eriksen and Ahmad to start again. They started against Porto and they were particularly neat and tidy on the ball. Ahmad was a little bit disappointing against Porto. I think he needs to have more confidence in his play. I think he is a decent winger. He's a decent squad player as well. Whether he's kind of good enough to be starting week in, week out remains to be seen. But he is very neat and tidy on the ball, and always has a very high pass accuracy in terms of keeping the ball. But I do believe he needs to be more confident in his play. He needs to be taking on the right back a little bit more, and I think his attacking output is a little bit lacking, and I just think he needs to own that position and just say, you know what, have more confidence in your play. So yeah, I want Eriksen and Ahmad to start. They are our most technical players, and we play the best football when Eriksen and Ahmad start. And they suit a team that controls possession, and I do believe that Man United are going to be having a lot of possession this game, because I think Aston Villa are quite comfortable in sitting back and defending for long periods of the game. They're quite comfortable in their compact 4-4-2 defensive shape. And also with Ahmad and Eriksen starting, when they have started this season, we are unbeaten, like I mentioned in my previous video. We drew to Palace and 20, both games which we should have won. We also drew to Porto, which we should have won as well, because we were winning 2-0. And even though Porto did have a couple of opportunities, we were defensively poor, and I don't think that was necessarily due to Ahmad and Eriksen. Maybe Eriksen a little bit, because defensively he does fall asleep sometimes, and he doesn't sometimes track his man from the central midfield. But I do think that the reason why we conceded against Porto was because we weren't compact defensively, and Rashford did fall asleep from when defending as well. So that was unfortunate. So I do believe that Eriksen especially has to start all the big games. He should have started against Liverpool and Spurs. I believe he is our best midfielder. I believe he's better than Bruno. That's just my personal opinion, because he's very neat and tidy on the ball and doesn't lose possession. And Bruno plays the risky pass too often, too much. With Eriksen, it's a little bit more reserved. He'll only play the risky pass when he knows it will lead to a big chance or opportunity. And he has very high pass accuracy most games. And yeah, like I mentioned before, he should have started against Liverpool and Spurs. So the only problem with Eriksen is that he is sometimes a little bit too passive defensively. And but apart from that, I think he's our best midfielder. Like I said, I think he's better than Bruno as well. In terms of Marcus Rashford as well, he is very unfortunate to be taken off against Porto. For whatever reason it was, I think Erik ten Hag is lying, and I think that he was taken off because he wasn't tracking his man defensively, and he was poor defensively. I think that's why he was taken off. Garnacho came on and he had something like 8 shots, only 2 on target, and Garnacho was very, very poor when he came on against Porto midweek. So how do you beat Villa or any side? In my opinion, Erik ten Hag has to change the tactics. I think he needs to stop with this 4-2-4 high press, because the wingers and the strikers simply don't work hard enough off the ball. Not only that, but our defensive line is too deep, and they don't squeeze the opposition, and they're not basically camped on the halfway line when we kind of high press. They're always in their own half, and that leaves to huge gaps in central midfield and gaps all over the place for the opposition to kind of freely bypass the press and play around us. So yeah, I think we need to abandon this high press. I think we need to abandon this 4-2-4 high press, and I think we need to kind of abandon this 3-2-5 Dalot inverting into midfield, which we're kind of doing right now. I think Dalot inverting into midfield has hampered Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford's game. Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford aren't necessarily bad players. However, the system that Erik ten Hag is trying to play isn't getting the best out of them. And Rashford is best when he has Luke Shaw overlapping or Dalot overlapping and providing and creating that space whereby Marcus Rashford can take on his fullback in a 1v1 situation. And like we saw against Porto, he doesn't necessarily need to be in a 1v1. He can be in a 2v1 and he can kind of get past with his close dribbling skills and his pace as well and get a shot off from the left wing cutting in. So yeah, I do believe we need to abandon this 3-2-5 in possession and Dalot inverted in. Dalot, I want him to kind of be overlapping and providing Marcus Rashford with support going forward. Too often or not, we see Marcus Rashford isolated around like 40 yards from goal, and he has to like drive from the halfway line to actually get near the box. You know, it's just, in my opinion, this system that Erik ten Hag is playing is not getting the best out of Bruno and Rashford, and he needs to change it up. So yeah, stop inverting Dalot, get him making overlapping runs so Rashford has space to work with. Exploit that high line that Villa are going to play. That final ball needs to be really good, and the finishing has to be good as well, which is very important. The finishing has to be on point. This is why I've got Casemiro and Eriksen in there. I believe that both of them have the ability to be kind of playing that ball over the top or making that pass to the likes of the running Rashford and Ahmad when they are going to be in space, hopefully, when Villa are playing that high line. So yeah, also with this 4-1-4-1 formation, what you can also do is, if you want to kind of outnumber in midfield, you can drop Xerxes in there and kind of make it a little bit of a diamond with Ugarte, Eriksen, Casemiro and Xerxes. Drop Xerxes in there and create that 4 overload if you want as well, because Villa are going to have kind of 3 in there, and if Xerxes drops in, we can get a numerical overload in the centre of the pitch as well. So in terms of other things, pace, power, strength and unpredictability, you need that every game. Energy, desire, confidence, urgency on the ball, confidence in and out of possession as well, and no gaps between the defense and midfield as well, and just sit in a 4-1-4-1 mid block, shut down the center of the pitch and be compact defensively. Personally, like I said, I don't want Bruno playing. I don't want Bruno starting this game. Yeah. So in terms of what if Man United, let's say, are kind of if Man United, let's say drawing or losing this game, I have got another formation which Man United can play. Whoops, it's not that one. Let me just kind of change the formation. So this is a very interesting formation. This is my 4-4-2 all-out attack formation, whereby if Manchester United are kind of losing the game or they're drawing at Villa Park or any game this season, I think you can go to a 4-4-2 formation. Put Eriksen and Fernandes as the central midfielders. Rashford and Garnacho are wide. Garnacho off the bench is especially good. I think he's very good off the bench because the opposition tire and he's got the legs to kind of run and create chances and stuff. And then you've got Højlund and Xerxes up front. So I think with this formation, it is all-out attack. It is all-out attack formation. Yeah, so if Man United are drawing or losing this game, then that's personally what I would do. But I do think that Erik ten Hag is going to start with Bruno Fernandes, and unfortunately I think he's going to drop Eriksen and Ahmad. I don't know why he doesn't fancy them in big games, but Eriksen and Ahmad, in my opinion, they got to start. They got to start ahead of Bruno, and Rashford has to start as well. I think Rashford, Eriksen, and Ahmad have to start, and then of course we have to abandon this 4-2-4 high press, and we got to abandon this 3-2-5 kind of build up in possession phase. So yeah. Anyway, in terms of Manchester United's star man, I am gonna have to say it's going to be Eriksen. Eriksen is Manchester United's most best and consistent player for Man United so far this season. I think he's been the best, and I think he's been the most consistent as well this season. And yeah, so I do think that it's going to be a very tough game, to be honest with you. And Man United are not coming into this game with good form whatsoever. So I am going to unfortunately have to predict a 3-0 loss. I'm not confident in this game whatsoever. Erik ten Hag is extremely stubborn. He doesn't want to stop this 4-2-4 high press, and he doesn't want to change this 3-2-5 build-up, which is absolutely hindering Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes. And if Man United want to be winning matches and kind of be better and kind of start to climb up the Premier League table, because we are currently 14th with 7 points out of a possible 18 right now. If Man United want to be kind of climbing up that league table, we have to abandon these. We've got to abandon the 3-2-5 in possession, and we've got to abandon the 4-2-4 high press out of possession as well. And we've got to go back to the standard 4-2-3-1 or the 4-1-4-1. But I don't think Erik ten Hag is going to do that. I think he's too stubborn. He's too stubborn in his ways, and he doesn't want to change, unfortunately. So yeah, I'm going to predict a 3-0 loss. I think Unai Emery is going to get the better of Erik ten Hag tomorrow. I think Ollie Watkins, Morgan Rogers and Duran are going to score. Aston Villa are going to cook us. We are going to get cooked. It's going to be a long season. Strap yourselves in.